There is a place every person visits. No one chooses it. No one enjoys it. Yet sooner or later, we all find ourselves there. The waiting room. The place between the prayer and the answer. Between the promise and the fulfillment. Between what God said and what we can see. It is a room with no clock, no calendar, no explanation, only questions. How long? Why not now? Have I been forgotten? Abraham knew that room. God had promised him a son, a nation, descendants more numerous than the stars. The promise was clear, but year after year, nothing happened. The stars filled the sky, the promise remained, yet the child never came, at least not yet. How many nights did Abraham look toward heaven and wonder? How many times did he replay God's words in his mind? How many moments did he battle the temptation to give up? Still, he waited. Joseph knew that room. As a young man, God gave him dreams. Dreams of purpose, dreams of influence, dreams that seemed impossible to ignore. But instead of a palace, he found a pit. Instead of honor, he became a slave. Instead of freedom, he sat in a prison cell. The dream remained alive, but everything around him seemed to say it would never happen. Days became months, months became years, and still Joseph waited, not knowing that God was arranging a future he could not yet see. David knew that room. A prophet had poured oil upon his head. God had chosen him to be king. The promise was spoken. The calling was clear. Yet instead of sitting on a throne, he hid in caves. Instead of wearing a crown, he ran for his life. Chosen by God, pursued by enemies, anointed king, living as a fugitive. Nothing about it seemed to make sense, yet David waited. And perhaps, you know this room too. Perhaps you're waiting for healing, waiting for direction, waiting for a relationship to be restored, waiting for an open door, waiting for a prayer that seems to rise no higher than the ceiling. Perhaps you've begun to wonder if silence means absence, if delay means denial, if God has forgotten your name. But what if the waiting is not empty? What if the waiting is part of the answer? Because while Abraham was waiting for a son, God was building faith. While Joseph was waiting for freedom, God was shaping character. While David was waiting for a throne, God was forming a king. The waiting was not wasted. The waiting was preparation. And perhaps the same is true for you. We often think God is preparing the blessing, and He is. But He is also preparing the person who will receive it. Roots grow before fruit appears. Foundations are laid before buildings rise. Character is formed before responsibility is given. Faith grows strongest when it has nothing visible to hold on to except God. Then one day, Abraham heard a child laugh. Joseph stood before Pharaoh. David sat upon the throne. The waiting ended, not because they forced the door open, not because they gave up, but because God's time had come. And God's timing, though mysterious, is never late. So if you find yourself in the waiting room today, do not assume that nothing is happening. The room may seem quiet, but heaven is still at work. The promise is not expired. The story is not over. And someday you may discover that the greatest miracle was not the answer that finally arrived, but the person you became while you waited. Because the God who makes promises has never forgotten.